What's up, you guys? It is Bob, and it is looking like we might actually get our EIDL grants and loans and even those PPP loans, because it looks like Congress is going to actually pass this new bill that is going to give us $350 billion to small businesses. And I know some of you are going to be excited for this, because as someone with small businesses, I had like 3 apply for this thing. The major source of my anxiety for the past few weeks has been, am I actually going to get these EIDL grants and loans that I applied for and actually started to need to depend on? And these anxieties were not helped by the fact that enormous large franchises like Ruth Chris Steakhouse and even hedge funds were starting to get tons of money out of EIDL and their PPP loans. Oh, trickle-down effect indeed. But now, the Senate has just passed another enormous stimulus bill, making it to where another $325 billion is going to small businesses. And of that, $125 billion seem to be slated to actually going to small businesses this time around. And not just hedge funds and large franchises masquerading as mom and pop stores. Now with this bill, it is essentially a continuation of the CARES Act. Basically what this bill is doing is it is recapitalizing a lot of the CARES Act and then actually focusing in on more small businesses and how they actually distribute it. So don't worry guys, if you applied for the EIDL loan and the PPP, you're still in the running for this. It doesn't look like you have to do anything new. And if you are a sole proprietor, independent contractor, Uber driver, Lyft driver, Grubhub, Postmates, diddly dip dop doops, guy that goes to the grocery store and picks it up and gives it to people at their house, you are still eligible for this EIDL grant. But if you have not applied yet, it is going to be tough right now because the portal is down. But they are talking like they might actually bring it back up. Maybe they'll bring it up on Sunday right before the market opens again. So I would watch this video if you haven't done it yet, because I go through step by step of what you need in order to actually fill this thing out. And you want to do it quickly, because last time this went through, we were out of money in 13 days. So when it is up, you'll be ready and you'll be able to hit the ground running. So this is what they're doing to help ensure that most of the money actually goes to small businesses this time, or at least $125 billion worth of it, because $60 billion worth is going to be distributed just to smaller banks and credit unions. And the reason why they're handing $60 billion to small businesses and credit unions is because, well, turns out those guys are the ones that are actually handing out most of the money to actually small businesses. Because essentially what's been going on at the larger banks is they would go,
"Hey, you're a big client of ours.
Yes, I am.
And you've got really big loans with us, yes?
Yes, I do.
Well, we're going to make sure that we prioritize you and make sure that you get a ton of that PPP loan stuff."
and there's like,
I love PP loan stuff.
and the reason they would do this is, well, it would ensure that that company keeps running, that they can pay their loans, and that they would stay with them at the bank. This was essentially a banking version of one hand washes the other. But if you were small and never had a loan, back of the line. Because let me tell you, one of my companies is at Wells Fargo, and then I finally get an email back saying I can actually apply, and then the next day, bam, we ran out of money. So yeah, I'm a little salty. And I'm really just not feeling all that confident. And I'm not trying to just single out one company. I know that's what's been going on with a whole lot of businesses working with the bigger banks. So no, we couldn't necessarily depend on the larger banks to do this. But one thing I always can bank on is you guys hitting that like button, because man, it really makes an enormous difference. I mean, if you look at the view difference between my videos, they're insanely huge. And it's all because 10% of you actually go ahead and hit that like button, and it means a lot to me, and I really do appreciate it, and thank you. So here's what you guys should really do instead if you're not feeling overly confident with your big bank. Here's an SBA link and map where you just put in your zip code, and all of the banks that actually work with them on these loans, the PPP loans specifically, show up on this map. That's pretty cool. You just put down the zip and then you scroll left to right and basically just start looking for names that you don't necessarily realize or haven't thought about, but you've driven by 100 times. Yeah, that one. That's probably the small bank or the credit union. And then what do you do next? You call them. That's really it.
But then you gotta like actually apply for the PPP, and that's very
I
nerve-wracking.
know it isn't. They actually made it relatively simple. New guidelines are out to where you're basically just filling out most of a Schedule C and maybe call 2 or 3 to ensure that you're actually comfortable with working with that loan officer, that bank, and their terms. But overall, it's really no different than any other loan. In fact, it's a lot simpler than normal. And by doing it this way, you might actually get some of that money. Now, I hope this video has been very helpful to you because, man, it feels like we kind of got burned on this last one, right? Like, we all thought that we were going to be getting $10,000 grants, and then basically it went down to $1,000 an employee. But they got this new stimulus bill. They're allocating it to actually small businesses this time, trying to make it to where these actually pretty large and even publicly traded companies don't come and grab it. By giving $60 billion worth of this money to small lenders and credit unions who have proven themselves to actually give it to small businesses. And you know what? If they treat you well, it might be worth just keeping an account with them in the future because, man, you actually need to have someone on your side when things like this eventually happen. I mean, I had a very long relationship with my banks, and I've actually put in millions and millions of dollars with them. So I don't really know at what size do I become a real priority to these large banks. And another thing I'd like to know is anyone else actually getting these loans still? Are they still coming through, or did it kind of just stop? Because they said they've allocated the money. So did the money get you guys? Did the PPP loans get you guys? Did the EIDLs get sent out? Do you have a guy? I don't know, because like, what's it actually take to be one of the bourgeoisie? Or at least be taken seriously with your PPP loan? Let me know your experiences so far in the comments. So that's it, you guys. I hope you get the money that you applied for, especially the $10,000 grant. Again, that money was doubled, so, All right, guys, have a good one. Bye.